As always, I am Mason, he is Gautham, and we are back for the first time in a couple of weeks. Life is crazy. It's starting to get very difficult to keep to a regular schedule. But some things have been going on in the baseball world, and those things need to be discussed. I think first and foremost, there's what was that thing called? The World Series is over. We should probably talk about that. Just a minor, like, all-star game style, doesn't really matter for anything series, But
Yeah, you're making me sad. There's no more World Series games. When's Game 8?
we already had Game 8 in the beginning of Game 9. What are you talking about?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
This is the first time a World Series has ever gone to 9 games. Even in the four
Is that
seasons.
true?
Yes.
Didn't they used to have like 9 game series
They
back
had
in the
best of 9 World Series, but none of them went past Game 8. 3 of them were
Okay.
5-3, and 1 of them was 5-2. But none of them went the distance when it was a 9-game World Series.
Yeah, because I know we set records for most number of innings.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith caught them all.
Yep. And so I guess for those of you who get all of your baseball information from this podcast alone, basically what Gautham is referring to is we had a couple of extra inning games. Game 3 went 18 innings, 2 full baseball games in one night. And then Game 7 went into the 12th, I believe.
11th.
11th. Okay, so 2 innings, not 3 innings of extras. My bad. But yeah, so this is the equivalent of 8 games and 2 innings in this World Series. That is the most innings in any World Series. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, just those 2 extra inning games alone, I'm sure you could probably figure out that there's probably some interesting things that happened if it went 18 innings and then Game 7 goes to extras. Probably some weird things happen. So I think let's start out and just kind of talk game by game. Game 1 set the tone for the series, right? Blue Jays come out swinging 11-4. That's exactly how this series was going to go, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean that was phenomenal. I mean, with the Dodgers coming into the series like off a bunch of off days and like they had swept through the Brewers, they looked unbeatable basically, and then the Jays come in and this game was close for most of it, and then the big blow was the Barger grand slam off the bench, and he was just phenomenal in this series. He had 12 hits, like hit 480 in this series. Just such a like cool pop-up star to have for the World Series this year, because he had been like struggling a lot coming into the postseason. He's sort of like a breakout player for 2025, but
It was going to
just to
say
see him like
he
do it.
He had started the season in AAA, came up
Yep.
in late April.
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Came up in late April, did some pretty cool things right at the start of his career, kind of had a great first couple of months overall, and then September just really, really struggled. And so seeing him still have John Schneider's faith and getting in the lineup and then coming out and being just one of the best hitters on the club in the month of October is huge. The dude's only 25. There were a lot of people that were questioning if he was going to be able to handle the pressure. This was something that they were talking about on the broadcast last night during Game 7. And then Joe Davis pointed out his average for the World Series and goes, yeah, I don't think that was much of a problem.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that was a 6th inning grand slam. Was that off of Snell or was that off Sheehan?
That was off Banda, I believe.
Off Banda. Okay. Because I know Snell
Okay.
gave up 5, but only 2 of them
Basically,
were before the 6th. So he gave up the first 3 runs of the 6th inning. And then Bonda had, or no, Sheehan was tagged for 3, and Bonda was tagged for 3.
yeah, and they did a ton. It was crazy. It was like a crazy inning where they scored, I think, 9 runs to
Yeah.
just blow this game wide open. Um, it was quite the start to a World Series. Like first pinch hit grand slam ever. First 9-spot inning in the World Series, I think, since 1968. So this is like a constant theme through this World Series. There were just all kinds of record breaking, um, amazing performances from both teams, really, and just like historic stuff. And I think when we get to the end of the discussion, we're going to be talking about this World Series as being like one of the most memorable, one of the most um, fun World Series to watch as a fan.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm just looking here at the 6th inning, um, and uh, just the play-by-play for the 6th inning, and holy cow! So Bichette walk, pinch run IKF, Kirk singles. So runners on first and second. Varsho hit by pitch to load it. Ernie Clement singles. Everyone advances 1 base. Nathan Lucas walks, scoring a run, and everyone moves down. Jimenez singles. Everyone moves. Springer grounds into a force out. Force out at home, and then Barger comes in as a pinch hitter for Davis Schneider, and then the Dodgers actually swapped Emmett Sheehan for lefty Anthony Bonda, and Addison Barger with lefty crime pulverizes that baseball. And then it still wasn't over because Vladdy singled, IKF
Kirk homered.
flew out, Alejandro Kirk homered, and then Varsho flied out to end the inning. So just an absolutely bonkers inning in game 1 of the series. So at that point, I know I watched that game and then, I don't remember what I was doing, but I was busy, so I couldn't watch that game. But then I just remember thinking, well, crap, Dodgers are done. And that was a really stupid thought by me. I should have known better. Because the very next day, game 2, Yoshinobu Yamamoto gets the bump. Dude just had a complete game in the NLCS in his start prior to this. And so there's no shot he's going to be able to replicate that, except he did. Complete game, 5-1 Dodgers. He only gave up 4 hits and 1 run to the Blue Jays in game 2 after they went off for the 11 runs on 14 hits the day before. Yamamoto, in my opinion, has not gotten the respect that he deserves. Even since last year, he's been very, very, very good. One of the top, I would say, top 3 pitchers in the league over the last 2 years. And I feel like nobody really talks about him all that much. Like Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal get all the love, and they deserve it. Like, don't get me wrong. But Yamamoto doesn't get quite as much respect as he probably deserves because he's not even the most high-profile Japanese player on his own team. And so, yeah. But this is the dude that signed the largest contract for a starting pitcher in history to come to MLB. So he's probably incredible.
Yeah, I think the expectations were through the roof because of the contract. And last year he was injured for a good chunk of the season. I guess he finished strong, and then this year really was the first year where he's able to go full season, and then I have a feeling he's not going to be like forgotten about anymore because of the performance that he had in this series and really throughout the playoffs, throughout the season. It's just like after the game, Shohei was doing the interview, with the Fox team, and he called Yamamoto the best pitcher in the world. So that says a lot. Like the guy's pretty good himself, but he thinks that Yamamoto's the best. Uh, probably should listen to that guy.
Well, and I was actually just before we started recording, I was talking with T-Rad, and it was basically me saying that I don't think Yamamoto gets the respect he deserves. I feel like he's one of those guys that if you were to tell me that I could pick one pitcher from Major League Baseball to be your ace, who is it? And I think it ultimately comes down to two guys. Like, I love Tarek Skubal. Absolutely love Tarek Skubal. I don't think he's in the top two for me. I think he's number 3. Like, very, very much it's kind of like 1A, 1B, and then Skubal is 2, and then Crochet, yeah. But there's a bit of a gap there for me because...
Well, it's funny because we just had this conversation and we only talked about 3 guys. We talked about Skeen, Skubal, and Crochet. We didn't talk about anybody else.
Yeah. Well, and that was me not giving Yamamoto the respect he deserved myself.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I kind of operate on a lot of people's biases because I kind of only think about the things that are put in front of me. So it's kind of difficult, but thinking about it, I think it's a very tough choice between do you take Paul Skeens or do you take Yamamoto? Skeens is younger. Skeens has shown incredible stuff and incredible ability in the regular season. But Yamamoto, with a little bit more age to him and a little bit more experience with that, some of the things that he did in the NPB in the Japan series in his final year there, I mean, he threw a complete game in an elimination game, game 6 there to take his team on to game 7. And then he's doing it here in the NLCS and the World Series in the same year. And then he pitches game 6 of this series, an elimination game, and he didn't go the distance. He only went 6 only. But going 6 in a World Series in this day and age is incredible. So I kind of think that you got to go with him.
And I guess like more on what he did in this series, he also endeared himself to the fans in a way that like nobody really can do. It's like insane, probably the amount of goodwill that Yamamoto has built up for something that he didn't even do. He didn't even come into game 3, but he almost was. He was warming up to be able to come into the 19th inning if the game had gone to that point.
Yeah, and he had pitched game 2, complete game.
He literally just pitched game 2, so he would have been on like 1 day's rest.
105 pitches, 1 day rest, and he was ready to come in.
Yep.
And then he actually got the opportunity. Pitch game 6 through 95 pitches. Only made it 6 innings that time. Didn't go the complete game. But then there wasn't even a day off between game 6 and game 7. He had no rest. And then he came in and pitched the last 3 innings.
8 outs.
In the last 8 outs of that game. Like, this dude is insane. How his arm is okay, I don't know. Like, it's not like he was coming in and just lobbing it in. Like, he was throwing still 91 mile an hour cutters, and he's not like the biggest burner in the world as far as a pitcher, but his control is insane. And that was kind of the part that lacked in that extra innings in game 7 was his control a little bit. But I mean, hey, it was effective and it got it done. So, and the fact that he was willing to do it, he volunteered to do it.
Yeah, and basically right after game 6, Dave Roberts was like, everybody's available except Yamamoto. And that changed over the course of the next 20 hours or so when Yamamoto basically like said, I'm available. I'm good to go. And once that was spoken into the world, it was gonna happen. And it
Yeah.
did. I mean, obviously the game went to kind of extreme circumstances with the extra innings and everything, but I mean, there actually is precedent for something like this happening in the World Series. You have to go back to 2001 with Randy Johnson. He pitched game 7, 7 shutout innings, I believe, or 7 innings. They won that game, and then he pitched in relief in game 7, and it's
Game
kind of
6 and game
insane.
7, right?
Game 6 and game 7, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So look up Randy Johnson's numbers from the 2001 World Series. They're nearly identical to what Yamamoto did in this series. They both had ERAs right around 1. They both pitched 17 innings. It's absurd
I
that
think
he
Yamamoto had. Oh, no, never mind. Wait, no, Yamamoto would have had 18, right? Or 17 and 2/3 or something like that.
he had 6 innings in game 6.
He had 9 innings, 6 innings, and then 2 and 2/3.
Yeah.
So 17 and 2/3.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, but no, Yamamoto was just insane in this series. And like he didn't necessarily get all that much run support in this series either. Like he ended up while he was, or no, I guess that was the complete game. He ended up getting 5 runs of support in game 2, but a lot of them were like late inning runs. A couple insurance runs in the 8th. They didn't actually take the lead until the 7th, and so he was not laboring. That's the wrong word here for a dude who just was a workhorse, but like he was the reason that the Dodgers were in that game in the 7th when they took the lead.
Yep.
And
And sort of a similar story in game 6 where he he had to pitch that well because the Dodgers essentially had like one good inning where they scored the 3 runs, and then outside of that they were dormant offensively, and that was um, consistent basically through the series where they didn't score a lot of runs. They basically hit 200 for the entire series, and outside of like Shohei, there weren't a lot of like big offensive performances from the Dodgers.
yeah, there were a lot of key hits, but not a
Yes.
lot of consistent performance. I believe coming into game 7, there were, I want to say it was like 10 home runs that the Dodgers had hit in the series, and all but 1 were solo shots.
That sounds right. I think it was like 8 homers before game 7,
Yeah, something like that.
and
But
7 of
like,
them were solo shots.
yeah, and the only guy who was hitting over 300 was Shohei Ohtani. And like it got to the point where Dave Roberts started playing with the lineup, just trying to get something going. Got to the point where he put in Miguel Rojas for the contact ability. Miguel Rojas, noted slugger. Dude has
Yeah.
such an incredible bat. But no, it was. I don't necessarily want to skip ahead to game 6 yet. I mean, we've kind of been doing a little bit of back and forth, but like game 6, that was an elimination game for the Dodgers. And because the team had been hitting so poorly in this series, Dave Roberts legitimately put in Miguel Rojas. His reasoning was to thank him for being a glue guy all season, which one, terrible reasoning to put in the worst hitter on your team in the starting lineup for an elimination game in the World Series. If they would have lost that game, kind of think that would be the main storyline, is that they didn't rock
I
out
guess
the
I'll
best
give
lineup they
Robert
had.
some more credit. What he really said was that Rojas gives the lineup and the defense like energy, and that's what he was looking for, and that's like Dave Roberts' rationale. Not saying that it's right or wrong, but that's what he was, I guess, saying about the move that he made. And they needed the juice, right? Like Andy Pages had like 4 hits in the entire postseason. He'd have been in the lineup basically every single game, was doing next to nothing. At some point, you got to make a change. So
Yeah.
who do you put in? It's not like the Dodgers have this deep bench. That's actually one of the issues that they have with their team is like they don't really have quality depth. They just have like their stars, they've got their lineup, and they just kind of go with it. But Roberts' like move obviously worked out, as
Yeah. And I
we'll
mean,
come to talk
defensively,
about.
yes, Miguel Rojas makes a ton of sense. And it came in big in that game. Um,
Yeah.
I think Kike probably gets a little bit more credit, deservedly, for some of the late game defensive heroics in Game 6. I mean, literally to end the game, Addison Barger on second, a kind of frozen rope liner out to shallow left. Kike is coming in hard on that ball. Doesn't necessarily look like he's gonna get it. To the point where Barger actually goes halfway to third. But he makes the catch and has to just yeet the ball in as quickly as he possibly can. Doesn't really have time to line up a good throw, and Miggy picks it to get the double play out to end the game. Like that was a very, very important key play there, because that would have, I think, scored the tying run.
Yeah, so Barger would have been the tying run in the bottom of the ninth inning. They had runners on second and third with just one out, and that play happened. And it goes from a situation where they're pretty likely to like score to the game's over. Like it just happened so fast, and it was with Glass now coming in like in a bullpen situation, which is he's not used to. It was all things in the Jays' favor, but then once
Well, and there were no outs when
there were
that
no
whole
outs,
thing
correct?
started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
So
Glasnow first came in, he immediately gets a pop up from Ernie Clement to get the first out, and then 2 pitches later he gets the double play, amazing double play. I mean, give Kike big credit for the jump that he got to catch that ball and
and Miggy
totally
making that
fool.
pick, like
Yeah, yeah.
watching it on the replay, it's not the hardest pick in the world, but that's such an obscure play that you're not necessarily looking for that. And
It's
so
like
to
a
be able
first
to
baseman
corral that,
play.
exactly. And so to be
Yeah.
able to corral that and stay on the base, because it was bang bang, like
He was
Barger
falling
almost got back.
backwards. He was falling backwards as he caught it, and he was able to keep his foot on the base before he just completely fell over. And Barger was just stunned. Uh, I I was
I,
kind of going back and forth
I
whether I
was
thought it
also
was
stunned.
a bad play by Barger, and I do kind of think it was a bad play, but more credit to the Dodgers defense on that play than anything.
Yeah, it's one of those that there's like, yes, Barger really had no reason to get halfway to third on that.
Yeah.
Because one, no outs. So it's not like you have to score on that play or have to get to third on that play.
Yep.
It was shallow enough that even if it got down, like Ike might have had a play at third. Um,
You know
and
what the
so
real mistake in that inning was? That I think about it. So the first, who was the batter that got pinch run for? It was some really slow runner who was
uh,
on first base. Was it Kirk or was it Bichette?
I think it would have been Bichette. Hold on. This
I
is
think Bichette.
all. I think it was Bichette in the ninth.
Bichette walked maybe.
Hold on. Bottom of the ninth. Um. Oh no, it was Kirk. Kirk got hit by
Okay, yeah, it was
pitch,
Kirk.
and
So
then they
so I
put in
had
Miles
no
Straw.
so I had no issue with Kirk getting pinch run for, but the problem was why did it didn't matter if that guy was fast or not. It could have been anybody because that run didn't really matter. They were down by 2. they really should have pinch run for Barger like they had been doing earlier in other games. Straw should have been running for Barger, and then perhaps he wouldn't have made the same mistake because he's a better base runner than Barger.
But and the other thing that was kind of big in that inning, though, is the ground rule double.
Yes.
So it was a hit by pitch to put Kirk / pinch runner Miles Straw on first base. Then Barger smokes a ball, and it looks like it might go out, and then it hit the base of the wall. It such a weird angle that I don't know how it didn't bounce off the wall. Like, that's how weird of an angle it was, but it managed to lodge itself below the pad, in between the pad and the ground. And in most stadiums, including Rogers Center, the grounds rule is that if it gets stuck in the padding, it is a grounds rule double, dead ball. And Justin Dean came in as a defensive sub, and first play, that happened. And so he immediately threw his hands up. They stopped the runner. Technically he went all the way home and then made him walk back.
Yeah.
But they reviewed it, they upheld it, and I've heard some people say that it was stupid. That should have been an inside the park home run because the Shea Stadium one, or Citi Field one a couple years ago, that was ruled a ball in play. But like, that one was legitimately just sitting up against a hard wall in the corner. It just stopped right at the wall, and whoever the fielder was just decided not to reach down and pick it up, even though it wasn't stuck.
I think Dean played it perfectly. The umps played it perfectly too, because they called it, right? They called it right away.
Yeah, they called it right away, and they went to review and confirmed it. So yeah, but that was big, because if that had not happened, the Dodgers would have lost that game.
Maybe.
No outs, runner on third. I mean, odds are that game at least goes to extra innings. So, just weird play, ground rule double. He just saved Game 6 for the Dodgers.
And just to put that in context, like, the Jays were that close to walking off the World Series right there in Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
Or like tying the game at least.
Yeah, I mean, really, if like one more degree launch angle or half a mile an hour exit velocity, and that ball would have been over the fence. Wouldn't have mattered. Would have been a walk-off for Addison Barger in Game 6.
That wouldn't have been a walk-off, right? It would have been the game-tying homer.
Or sorry, yes, my bad. I was thinking Jimenez. But yeah, Jimenez is definitely wouldn't have got over the fence with just a little bit more velocity. That would have needed like about 100 mile an hour more.
Yeah.
But we should probably go back and talk about that crazy Game 3, though. The 18-inning game.
Oh my God. There's a whole podcast on this one. Where do we even go with it? It was started by Max Scherzer. It was started by Tyler Glasnow, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game was going fairly, typically for a baseball game for the first few innings. There was still some interesting stuff that happened in the early innings, but it's like so much stuff happened late game that it's hard to remember it all off the top of my head.
Well, conveniently for you, I have the key moments, or I have the entirety. Which one do you want?
I don't think we can do the entirety in this amount of time.
But basically, to your point, the game started out fairly normal. Both Scherzer and Glasnow got into the fifth. Neither one of them completed the fifth. but Scherzer gave up 3 runs on 5 hits. Glasnow 2 runs on 5 hits. So the Dodgers were up 3-1 when both of the starters came out. Fluharty ended up giving up a 4th run there in the 5th inning, and then Louis Varland finished that inning out. And then Treinen in, I think this was the 9th inning, wasn't it? No,
it wasn't.
This would have been the
8th inning,
6th, 7th inning. Blake Treinen ended up giving up a run to tie the game.
Yep.
So blown save for Treinen there. And then Dreyer finished out the inning. Roki came in to pitch, Dreyer started an inning, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think he finished an inning and started the next inning.
Okay. But he only had 1 base runner. There was an error in that inning that allowed runners on. So he gave up 1 hit, but he ended up facing 3 batters without a strikeout, without a walk. So it just looks really weird in the box score. Roki comes in and it just shuts him down for an inning and 2/3. It was it this game or was it a different one where Roki went for 2 innings and looked a little bit rocky, but he got the job done. Sheehan 2 2/3. Kershaw came in for a 1/3 of an inning. Eduardo Henriquez came in for 2 innings, and then Will Klein, he got put in. He's never really thrown more than like 20 some pitches in a game. He got 4 innings on like 70 pitches. And
this was the hero performance of this game 3 because guy wasn't even on any of the playoff rosters until the World Series. He was on there because they didn't have Vesia for the series.
Yeah, I think Vesia and Tanner Scott, right?
Right. And he's a guy that never pitched more than 2 innings in a major league game, hadn't thrown more than 50 pitches since he was in high A in 2021. And he was the absolute last guy that they had in the bullpen for relievers. They would have gone to Yamamoto, like we talked about in the 19th inning, but he threw 72 pitches in this game. He was completely gassed.
He only gave up 1 hit though and struck out 5.
Yeah. This was the definition of effectively wild because he didn't really have command, and he's not really a command pitcher at all. He just was chucking it up there as hard as he could, which is pretty good. He's got good velocity. And the thing about the Jays in this game is, due to things that had happened early extra innings or even before, they were missing a lot of their key bats. Kirk got pinch run for in the early extra innings. Springer actually left before extra innings even started with a oblique issue on a swing, so he had to leave. And then obviously Bo was also compromised throughout the series. He got pinch run for as well.
I was going to say Springer came out mid at bat in the 7th.
Yeah.
And then
so they're basically missing 3 of their best
was pinch ran for in the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were missing their big guys for most of this game.
And I think the Jays are an interesting example of a team that plays phenomenal defense. We saw a ton of that in this series, but they do not really excel at running the bases, especially when their guys are all hurt. Springer's super banged up. Bo couldn't run. He cost the team basically a run in that game 7 where he only could go station to station, and they didn't score that run in the early going of that game. And then, Kirk doesn't run well. Other guys are average at best. It's not they're pretty much a station to station team. And I feel like that was sort of the difference in some of these games, especially game 3 and then game 7.
Yeah. But pitching for Toronto though was equally as effective and equally as good. I mean, yes, they lost that game, but Brendan Little came in for the 17th inning, pitched it, and then came in for the 18th. And at that point, I guess Freddie Freeman was just over it. And so I think it was it the first pitch of that inning.
It was the first or second pitch, yeah.
I think it was the first pitch of that inning. Freddie just turned on it and put it 406 feet away for a home run to walk it off.
Yeah, Little had nothing though. It was a terrible pitch, and he was just did his best just to get out of the 17th. Like he did his best to do that, and he again, just like Klein was the last pitcher for the Dodgers. Little was the last guy for the Jays in this game before they were going to go to Bieber, the starter for Game 4.
Yeah. And so it was really just an unfortunate situation there. But I mean, hey, in those incredibly long games, you can't really, there's nothing you can do. Like,
yeah,
everybody's gassed. You don't really have anyone to go to. Then you get an MVP up to bat and you make one mistake because you don't have control command at that point. You're just tired. And I mean, Freddie Freeman probably also tired. That was a long game. But he also plays one of the least physically demanding positions at first base. He's not constantly running. I mean, that's probably a big part of it for him. To keep him fresh is like he's incredibly good at first base, great defensive first baseman, but he doesn't really have to go anywhere. And yeah, it was 9th AB of the night, or 9th plate appearance. Sorry, 7 ABs. But so he'd swung the bat a lot. But I mean, you make a mistake to him, even that far in, he's just gonna crush it, and he did.
Yeah. And I watched like every bit of this game, and it was getting crazy because people tend to like change their approach a little bit in the long extra inning games. Everybody's just trying to hit the homer, and the Dodgers almost hit so many homers in the extra innings. I think they had like 5 homers, near homers, that just kind of died on the warning track. Freddie himself had 2 that almost left the yard in the innings before this one, where he actually finally got it out.
So, including the actual home run, 4 of his last 5 plate appearances were within about 2 feet of the wall.
Yep. So Freddie continues to cement himself as a all-time like historic, legendary World Series player now with 2 walk-offs in separate World Series games.
I feel like you added some unnecessary qualifiers there. I think he's just cementing himself as an all-time great. Period.
Yeah, but also like just the performance in the World Series is special.
Yeah, that's fair. So that
we didn't even mention Shohei, who was probably one of the biggest notables from Game 3.
This is another one of those historic things. Shohei Ohtani is the first guy in World Series history to be on base 9 times.
Yeah. And he started this game double homer. And then at that point, the Jays were like, we've had enough. We're just going to walk this guy. And they walked him 4 times intentionally. And then a 5th time, essentially, also intentionally, but not intentionally. And
they actually threw him the pitches, but they might as well just put up 4 fingers.
He was so exhausted, and he knew he had to start the next game, too. So that's like another thing, just the amount of exhaustion these players had, like with the Jays guys all being injured, with Shohei doing Shohei feats, Yamamoto trying to pitch on 1 or 0 days rest all the time. And it was just like a physical, grueling series in general.
I mean, other than the fact that like we use this many relievers nowadays, it kind of had an old school feel to it. Like
Kind of, yeah.
not necessarily 1968 old school, but like 2004, where you've
True.
got guys that are just Roy, or 2011 even Roy Halladay and Chris Carpenter. It just, this series kind of felt like that. The Phillies Cardinals matchup from 2011, um, and it just it felt like everyone was just trying to outgrit each other. And I think that's maybe a good way to describe these teams, is these are two of the grittiest teams in baseball. Like the Dodgers were behind in this series kind of throughout. Like in the individual games, they were either tied or behind. They did end up going up 2-1 in the series after this game 3, but that very quickly turned into the Jays winning game 4 6-2, and then the Jays winning game 5 6-1. So now the Dodgers are down 2-3, and so they've just got to sit there and grind it out, and a couple lucky breaks here and there, just some stellar performances from guys like Yamamoto, guys like Shohei. Um, but like they definitely earned their victory. It's not like they were just kind of given this by the grace of the baseball gods. That's not what happened. The Jays also very much deserved to win this series.
Yeah, I want to jump in and just say, like, we're gonna get back to the Dodgers in a moment here at the part where they win, but the Jays played so well in the series. In a lot of ways, they outplayed the Dodgers. Like, and it wasn't just the offense, but even their starting pitching. Forgotten our like Bieber outdueled Shohei in Game 4.
Gosman was
Um,
incredible. He just happened to be matched up with Yamamoto twice.
yeah, he had the weirdest postseason ever. He had like 4 good starts, but he didn't get a single win because he just had bad luck in those starts.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like, who's the other guy we haven't even talked about in this entire podcast? Trey Savage had one of the all-time greatest World Series starts ever. He had a 12 strikeout, no walk performance
Game
in
1,
Game
right?
5.
Oh, game
Game 5.
5?
Yep,
So that would have been
against Blake Snell. Like he outduels Snell, and he kept them in that Game 1, and he came back on short rest to pitch a couple innings in Game 7. So this guy, out of the blue, like, has more postseason starts now than he had regular season starts this season.
well,
And
and Savage is the pitching version of or not Ernie Clement, the pitching version of Addison Barger, in a way. He was drafted a year before, so he was in his first full pro season. Ended up coming up in September, and had, I think, one bad start in 3 or 4 like really good starts.
yeah, he had the 5+ no-hit innings against the Yankees in the first postseason start, and then of course the great World Series start, and then another couple in there too. I mean, it's like really amazing stuff. And then Max Scherzer, he also kept them in the games that he pitched. He pitched Game 3, pitched Game 7. He didn't blow up. I don't know how he did that exactly,
Max
but
Scherzer is a
he did.
number 4. That's a solid rotation. Like,
Yeah,
even though Scherzer, yeah, he missed the first 2 or 3 months with a thumb injury, I think, and then was just really not that great when he came back. No. But he, again, gritty.
yes.
So
Yeah, and then the offensive performances. I mean, Ernie Clement literally had 30 hits in the postseason. That's an all-time record. Obviously, we have longer postseasons now, but he was everywhere. He hit in, I think, 14 straight games. Um, that's insane for playoff baseball. It's usually so hard to get hits, and
I was gonna say, was it Ernie Clement or was it Andres Jimenez that had like 6 multi-hit games in this World Series? I think it was probably Clement.
I think it was Clement for sure.
And I think that game 5 is the one that he didn't. Is he only had 1 hit in that one, but he reached base safely in every single game.
Yep.
Just
And
insane.
and the star showed up too, right? Like it wasn't just Shohei. It was also Vladdy.
Oh,
who
that was actually going to be my point. Is Vladdy had one of the best postseasons ever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But I think this is just his World Series average that I'm looking at here. But like in Game 6, he had a 412 average in just the World Series alone. He had 8 home runs this postseason, which is tied for the most in a single postseason. Period. Or no, sorry, I don't think that's true. It's one behind Randy, is what it was.
I think Randy had 10.
I thought it was 9.
I don't know.
But nonetheless, Vladdy, who everyone seems to have this this idea that he's not as good as he was supposed to be. Like he's not the superstar Hall of Fame track guy that he was supposed to be because he's not out here hitting 50 homers a year. One, he does have the power to do it. It's not his game. He hits the ball incredibly hard as line drives, and sometimes they turn into home runs on a regular basis in a spree like this. Other times, he's just an incredibly high average, productive guy with slug, getting doubles and getting... But he showed up in this postseason and kind of took that common thought across fans of MLB who don't frequently watch the Jays and just kind of threw it back in their face and said, shut up. I'm here leading this team. You could make quite a few arguments that they probably should have won this series, and he probably would have been the World Series MVP unless you give it to you Savage. But like,
yeah,
Vladdy was just so good. And then in Game 7, everybody is just like, the Dodgers ended up coming back and tying it late. And that's a huge hit to the why did I just completely forget words? That's a huge hit to the like excitement level of that team, and it can kind of take the wind out of your sails. And then Vladdy comes out, and what does he do? He hits a hard double, and that is the most animated I have ever seen that dude. Like, he was keeping his team hyped as long as he possibly could and just kept showing up and kept getting hits. And just, like, you can't say that Vlad is just, He is a flat-out superstar that deserves his mega contract. All you detractors that don't really listen to our podcast, but you're out there. I know you are. I've seen you. But yeah, like this definitely wasn't just the superstars versus other team. This was head-to-head, big-time matchups between players.
Yeah, no, I would say I'm going to admit I'm a detractor. Like, I don't think it's a good contract, but the contract's like basically paid for itself now, right? Like it's worth it. Like, this is what it's for. It may not look good in 10 years or whatever, but who cares, right?
But how many
like,
of them do?
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's not the point of it.
It's not the point. Yeah. And I think it's funny that we got almost an hour into this podcast without talking about Guerrero at all. Just so much stuff has happened. Yeah. And it was such an unbelievable series. But
Yeah,
I think we should talk about Game 7 probably.
probably. All right. Game 7. Oh, this was a big one. So, very early on, I believe it was scoreless for the first 2 innings. And this matchup was Max Scherzer again versus Shohei. So Tyler Glasnow was, in theory, going to be the starter for that game, but they brought him in relief in Game 6. He got the final 3 outs on 3 pitches. So really, he probably could have started. Like, the only thing that you're really looking at there is how many warm-up pitches he threw. Like, how gassed his arm is just from getting prepared to come in and throw those 3 pitches.
They also reported that he had side soreness and they didn't know how long he was going to pitch, and that was like an uncertainty of Game 7.
Oh,
And then obviously the main reason was with Shohei, they didn't want to lose him, or they didn't want to have to move him into the field or something, because if he didn't start the game, the Otani rule does not apply, and you cannot have your DH if he pitches. So he would have had to like leave the game or go to another position. That wasn't going to happen. So it made the most sense to start Shohei in this game.
yeah. And Shohei honestly struggled a little bit, but he was only on 3 days rest. And
yeah,
he's usually a 6-day rest guy. And so, like, with him being out there every day hitting and putting in that much time and work, and that's asking a lot for him to come on 3 days rest. Other guys, not necessarily uncommon. It happens a lot, especially in the World Series, but he's a special case, and I would argue 3 days is kind of the same as like bringing in Yamamoto the day after he pitched. It's kind of that same situation. And Otani just was not sharp. He walked 2 guys. He gave up 5 hits. He gave up 3 runs and 2 1/3. Like, and that the runs he gave up were all on one big swing. Bo Bichette came in, and Springer and Vladdy both got on before him, and he just pulverized a ball. It was 110 off the bat, 442. Like, there was no doubt that was gone. And then they pulled him, and they went to Wroblewski, which kind of surprised me that they went to Wroblewski first, because my expectation was it was going to be Otani and then Glasnow, and then they would figure out how to gap the end of it if they had the lead. And Wroblewski ended up going an inning and a third, really clean. And then they brought in Glasnow to finish out.
Not that clean. He started a fight.
True, he did start a fight. Have the benches ever cleared in a Game 7 before this year?
Not that I know of.
I feel like probably, but
probably. I don't know. It doesn't really happen very often in World Series games at all.
When the bullpens were coming onto the field, they one of the cameras zoomed in on Trey Savage, and dude had the biggest smile on his face. That's the first brawl he'd ever been a part of, and it happened in Game 7 of the World Series.
Don't call that a brawl. There were no punches
benches clearing situation.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of yelling. Wroblewski hit somebody. Was it Kirk?
Jimenez.
Oh, Jimenez. And Jimenez didn't like that very much, and they started yelling at each other. And then warnings were issued in the 3rd inning of Game 7.
Yeah, and then like either 1 or 2 batters later, someone hit a ball like right back up the middle, and it hit Wroblewski in the leg. I bet he did that on purpose.
Yeah, probably.
But he was eventually removed for Glasnow, and I thought it was weird because I was I kind of thought like, oh, they'd bring in Wroblewski, just get out of the inning, and then let Glasnow start with the cleaning clean inning, but Glass now ended up having to come into the middle of an inning anyways.
Yeah.
But he pitched fine, and then
Then they went to Sheehan
something. Yep.
for an inning, and then they brought in Snell for an inning and a third. And then when he started getting into a little bit of trouble there in the ninth inning, the ninth inning, then they brought in Yamamoto to clean it up. And I believe it was a bases loaded jam that Yamamoto ended up being in the ninth inning. And so there was back to back half innings where there was bases loaded and then a force out at the plate.
Right.
And then they ended up getting out of it.
I guess let's back up, right? Like back up a couple innings here. The Jays end up scoring a fourth run to go up 4-2. So they're like seemingly in the driver's seat of this game. And
that was the Jimenez double, right? Scored Clement.
Yep. And then in the eighth inning, Max Muncy hits a solo shot like a bomb to get this to 4-3. And you're kind of like, okay, still got the lead, Jay still got the lead. They just gotta close this game out. And then it's the ninth inning, and Jeff Hoffman's pitching. Hoffman was also pitching in the eighth, right? Like he finished the eighth as well.
Yeah, I think he had an inning and a third. Yeah.
So they're at the bottom of the lineup, about to roll back to the top. He gets the first batter, and then the unlikeliest of heroes comes up in Miguel Rojas and hits a home run on a slider.
I called him a noted power hitter earlier. Or a noted slugger, I think is how I phrased it.
Yeah, and it after the World Series, when he was doing the interview, he was saying like, "This is my first homer against a right-handed pitcher all season," which is not technically true, but the only home run he had against a right-handed pitcher was actually a position player during the regular season.
So then it is true off of a pitcher.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true, I guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, shock. I was just in utter disbelief. I can't even imagine Jays fans in that situation. You're 2 outs away from sealing the deal, winning the World Series for the first time in 3 decades, and Jeff Hoffman gives up a homer.
So I was
Miguel Rojas.
I was actually laying in bed watching it on my iPad, basically from the 8th inning on, and I tried to call you in that moment.
Yeah, I did see that.
You hung up, or you sent me to voicemail, asshole. But no, like that's the fact that Miguel Rojas was the dude that came through, tied it up for the Dodgers after I spent the last day talking about how it was stupid for Dave Roberts to put him in the lineup 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
But no, Miggy, like looking back at it, putting in Miguel Rojas in game 6 and 7 is probably the reason that the Dodgers won the World Series.
Well, it's the funniest thing, right, about manager decisions. The manager looks like a genius if the player does good, right? And he looks like an idiot if the guy fails. And this is the situation where it absolutely worked out. And some of the other things that happened in this game, the play. Well, now we'll go to the bottom of the ninth, right? Because there was a lot that happened. The game was not like going straight to extras yet.
Yeah, so I believe in the bottom of the ninth, Bo Bichette managed to get on. They pinch ran IKF for him.
Yep.
And then Addison Barger, I can't remember if he walked or if he singled.
I believe he walked.
Okay, and then Alejandro Kirk took a hit by pitch off of the back kind of forearm right there, and they challenged
That was off Yamamoto, I believe, right? The first batter that he faced.
Yes, that was off of Yamamoto. And so Yamamoto basically comes in and immediately loads the bases with that hit by pitch right off the arm there. Um, and so it looks like the Dodgers are just done.
No outs. Yeah.
Yeah. No, one out.
1 out. Okay.
Yeah. So one out. Dalton Varsho comes up and he grounds to Miguel Rojas. Rojas is falling as he catches this ball and throws a dart to home plate for the force out, which was also challenged by the Blue Jays. And he got his foot down by about that much.
Yes. It was, we were literally an inch away from a replay overturn to win the World Series. That it was a legitimate thing that like could have happened. I mean, to me, it was like even hard to tell on the video. I wasn't like quite sure. It looked like he did have his foot on the base, but I wasn't like 100% sure.
Yeah, Will Smith being on the plate, I'm positive. What I could not tell was if who was it?
IKF. It's IKF.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if IKF's foot got there first or not. Right. It was so close, and just all of the views, you can't see if he's actually making contact with the plate. Like, I think he might have been over it at basically the exact same time, but you couldn't tell if he had actually touched it. And so,
and something that a lot of people did, like in retrospect, they looked back at where IKF started and the jump that he got. He was taking a very small lead off, and he didn't really get the best secondary lead, probably just because he was worried about getting doubled up. Like the Jays had literally just lost the game the day before on a similar situation. So, but just imagine, right? He takes a tiny little bit of a step more towards the plate to start. He gets a little bit better of a secondary lead, then he scores that run, and it's just, the game's over. Like, the Jays would have won right there.
Yeah. And just in those 3 plays, Toronto's win probability went from 82.9% whenever they loaded the bases with 1 out to down to 50%. After Ernie Clement ended up hitting one on the screws, but he hit it directly to, or no, sorry. This is the one that was another great defensive play. This is the one that went to the wall in left center field. PK was going to try and basket catch it, Willie Mays style, was not underneath the ball. And then Andy Pages, who just came into the game,
he had just been subbed in literally like for that one at bat, right? Like,
yeah, I think so.
Jay Roberts just decided, like, at that moment, oh, let me bring in Pages, and it worked out brilliantly, because this guy, like, I don't know how far he ran across the field to be there, and he bowled over Kike to make this incredible catch.
I know you don't play Madden now, but you remember like Madden 2005 or like 2008 with the hit stick?
Yeah.
He just hit sticked him.
Yeah, pretty much. Kike was just down. He probably thought they lost the World Series because he missed a catch.
Yeah. Well, and I thought he was hurt for a minute. Because like he stayed down, Pages turned around and started running back, and then he looked back at Kike, and I think you're right. I think he thought that they lost the game.
I think he thought they lost, yeah.
And so Pages is like, "What are you doing? Get up!" And then he gets up and he runs in into the inning, going into the 10th. But yeah, and then even in the 10th, like Mookie got on base, Muncy singled to put runners on first and second with 1 out. Teoscar walks, so bases loaded, 1 out again in the next half inning.
Yep.
And then Pages comes up to bat, his first plate appearance in days. And as you mentioned earlier, he had 4 hits in the postseason. Not the World Series, the postseason. And he grounded it to Andres Jimenez Jimenez throws a dart to Kirk and gets Mookie Betts out at home. So now we got 2 outs. And then Kike comes up and another grounder to.
That was the one to Vladdy, right?
Yeah, this one to Vladdy.
That was also a great play.
Vladdy kind of had to make an awkward turn, threw it to Seranthony Dominguez, and then Dominguez was struggling to find the bag.
Like, yeah, he almost didn't find it.
Yeah, he did a little shuffle thing trying to get it. They ended up challenging that play. The Dodgers did. It was upheld as an out. So now we go to the 11th. And this is kind of where things get a little bit sad if you're a Blue Jays fan. Well, I mean, they've probably been sad at other points in this game too.
Did the Jays do anything in the bottom of the 10th? I don't think they did, right?
No, they did not. I think it was like a 1-2-3 inning, or only 4 batters or whatever in the inning. But then top of the 11th, the Dodgers kind of hit into 2 quick outs, and then Will Smith smokes a ball, puts it over the fence in left field, and the place just died.
It was actually like in the exact same spot as the Rojas homer from a couple innings before.
Mm-hmm.
They like landed the exact same spot. I think maybe like the same guy caught the ball somehow. And yeah, like you said, the place was just lost all its juice at that point, and that is one of the biggest home runs like in the history of the World Series. Nobody's ever hit a home run in Game 7 of an extra inning game. I don't think ever.
Yeah, there's trying to. Yes, I don't. A home run in extra innings of a Game 7.
Of a Game 7. Yeah, I said that kind of weird, but yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had to parse that together. But yes, I believe you were correct. That has never happened before. There have been a couple of walk-off Game 7. I think that 1 or 2 walk-off Game 7 home runs. Bill Mazeroski in
That's
1960.
The only one. That's the only Game 7 walk-off.
Oh,
because there's only been 2 ever. Yeah.
Oh, and Joe Carter's was Game 6.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. That was 92 or 93? That was 93.
93. Yep.
But so Will Smith hits this home run. It deflates the entire stadium, but the game is not over. We do have a bottom of the 11th. And Vladdy is up leadoff. And he hits one on the screws, doubles. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where Vladdy was the most animated that I had ever seen him in my life. So he hit that liner out to left field. Kind of hit it. Kike was kind of shading center, right? And then he hit it down basically right off the base of the wall at the left field foul pole. And so then IKF comes in, sack bunt, gets Vladdy to third. So we have a runner on third, down 1, 1 out. Barger walked, and then Alejandro Kirk, one of the best contact guys in the league, did indeed make contact. Placement was less than ideal, and they ended up doubling up Barger and him to end the game, and Dodgers back-to-back champs. So it was an exhilarating Game 7 if you are unaffiliated to these teams.
Yeah, so for me, it was great. I mean, like, this had to be the best Game 7 ever. Like, it truly was. It lived up to the hype, and I do feel like something about baseball Game 7s, like, usually it's not a dud. Usually it's been, like, very exciting, but not quite like this. This was, like, wire to wire, just, like, one of the most crazy games ever. And if you're a Jays fan, though, like, so many chances They were in the driver's seat. They had chances in the late innings, even when they were down there in the 10th, and did not get it done. Didn't get it done game 6 either, even though they were so close. So just very tough. They're climbing up their rankings of tortured fan bases, I guess, as their drought kind of continues here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because Toronto kind of has that same situation with all of their sports franchises.
Hey, didn't the Raptors win one recently?
Okay, I forgot about the Raptors, but I was mostly thinking the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
the Maple Leafs have started making it through the first round, though, so we're
Good
making
for them.
progress.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we're past an hour, but I do want to, if you don't mind going a little long this year or this week. Um, sorry, I was reading Bunk's thing about the Argonauts won the Grey Cup last year as well. So
Uh,
it is actually turning around for Toronto sports franchises recently. Um, but I wanted to ask you, the Dodgers have now won back-to-back World Series. The last time that we have had back-to-back World Series champions was 98 through 2000, the Yankees. The last time it was done in the National League was 75 and 76, the Big Red Machine in Cincinnati. The Dodgers have now done it. They also won in 2020, so they have won 3 of the last 6 World Series. They also, between those times, went to the NLCS and then the NLDS twice. If you go back as far as Dave Roberts' tenure with the Dodgers in 2016, they have been to they've been to 2 NLCSs that they lost. They've been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 World Series, of which they've won 3. I think people are calling this a dynasty at this point. My question is, why are we just calling it a dynasty now? What constitutes a dynasty? In my opinion, winning more World Series over a multi-year span than you've lost and a extended period of success with a somewhat constant roster / leadership. To me, that's what defines a dynasty. And so now I'm looking back at all this, and I kind of think that as soon as Dave Roberts came in as manager, is kind of when you would say it's the start of a dynasty.
yeah, I think I'm close, but I think the dynasty goes back to when Andrew Friedman took over in 2014, um,
Uh,
which was
between 14 and 15.
okay. Yeah,
So you think that last Don Mattingly year, you think that counts?
I think it counts because, like you said, it's about the leadership, and you put it at Roberts. I think that's appropriate too, but it's like 3 key points in Dodgers history, right? It's like when Mark Walter Guggenheim takes over the Dodgers in 2012, Friedman's hired in 2015, and then Roberts in 2016. Those are like the new leadership that we still have today. And I mean, the results speak for themselves. They're going to the NLCS or the DS at the worst. They're going to the World Series like 5 times now in the last 9 years, I think. And they've won now 3 different titles. It's very clearly a dynasty. Like we haven't seen this type of success since the Yankees.
So while I've already stated that in my opinion, I think it's based on the leadership. And 2016, you have all 3 levels of leadership that are now constant. Does the roster itself matter as well? Like, is this a multiple or multi-stage dynasty thing, or because this has been a very dynamic roster if you go as far back as 2016, because that's pre Cody Bellinger. Like, really, the only guy who was there that entire time and is still there today is Clayton Kershaw. There's nobody else. Austin Barnes would have been, except he this year. Actually, no, Austin Barnes wasn't there in 16, was he?
He might have been a rookie that year. I don't know.
Yeah. But like I was just thinking about this, and like Kershaw has been there that entire time, and Dave Roberts, Andrew Friedman, and the ownership group have been there that entire time as well. But then we've seen just a complete roster overhaul from great roster to great roster. Pre 20 or like 2020, that was pre Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts was there. When did Mookie get traded? 2018?
Was it 19? But it was before 2020, right?
Did Mookie win the World Series with the Red Sox?
He did. He got traded to the. He signed with the Dodgers in 20, or like he signed his big extension in 2020, I believe.
Okay, so I think between 18 and 19 is when Mookie got traded.
I was gonna say I thought it was before 20, but I'll check.
But then you win that World Series, and then they kept getting close, but they couldn't do it. And then they get Shohei and Yamamoto. And so it's like, it's so weird because there's so many different points where you could say this is the beginning. And I think a lot of people are basically like going to look at it and say that it's the Shohei years. But that's entirely unfair to the rest of the success of this organization and an entire World Series championship that is still in this realm. Like,
yeah. Maybe 2020 is like a good time to start it because it's like that's when Betts showed up, and that's when they like basically stole another team's superstar and won the first title.
Went full on 90s Yankees in 2020.
Yeah, but then the Freeman signing is where it's like, okay, the Dodgers have seemingly free reign to do whatever they want. They're succeeding in all facets of their organization, from ownership to their player development to being able to sign like MVP type players. And now it's just like it just is completely on another level with the signings of international superstars like Otani and Yamamoto. It's like the Dodgers are just lapping the field in terms of like how good they are.
So yes and no. And as far back as 2013, they have won 90 plus games every year.
Yeah.
Every year. They went to the NLCS in 2013 and 2016 and the World Series in 17 and 18. And they were 90. I think the least number of wins that they had in a season from 2013 on was 91.
Yeah, and they won 93 this year. It was one of their worst years because I think the Dodgers have kind of realized there's no real upside of winning a bunch of regular season games. They tried that once in 21. They won the 107 or whatever, and that didn't really.
And then they lost the division that year.
Yeah, exactly. So why even try? Like the whole playoffs is literally just like or the regular seasons just get ready for the playoffs for the Dodgers.
It's kind of become like the NBA in that standpoint.
For them, but not for other teams, right? Other teams have to grind to make the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just have the entire franchise history page pulled up, and I glanced down to 97 and 98, and the guy who took over for Tommy Lasorda is B. Russell. Is that Bill Russell? NBA great?
I don't know.
That'd be wild. Imagine being it is Bill Russell. A different Bill Russell, but it is Bill Russell. This guy does not look like he can hoop.
Okay, yeah.
He also doesn't look like he can manage. Interesting.
Yeah, he only managed like a few seasons, it looks like.
One full season. He was an interim for 1 year, and then he got relieved whenever they were 36 and 38 in 1998.
I see.
I don't know that that's necessarily the terrible start that people get fired for now. Well, cool. So we think, I think we can both agree that at least 2016.
Yeah.
But maybe we say 2020. But I don't know. It's
Hey, but
does it continue?
You made me think, right? It's like ancient civilization dynasties, right? You look back like big picture. You don't really know when it starts or ends until it's over. So
Yeah.
we can look back on it, and I think dating it back to those rough year start times, I think makes sense. Like clearly this has been going on for a long time. What the exact year was, like that doesn't much matter.
So
We do know that we're still in the middle. We're in the throes of the dynasty today.
So that brings up one final question. We think we have an idea when the dynasty began. How long until it collapses? Every dynasty collapses.
It's true. It's true.
Freddie's
And
getting older. Kershaw's
everybody's getting old.
retiring.
Yeah.
Like, Roki is possibly going to just take over where Kershaw left off, though. So, like, is it going to end anytime soon? It doesn't feel like it.
No, it definitely does not feel like it, because it feels like no matter what happens with the personnel, like you mentioned, it's changed so much over the last decade, and it hasn't mattered. They've only gotten better.
Wasn't Matt Kemp there for part of this?
He might have been there right at the end. Or right at the beginning, I guess.
Matt Kemp was on the 2013 NLCS team.
Yes, he was definitely there, but he might have left LA by like 2015, probably.
Interesting. So Matt Kemp is the precursor to a dynasty.
Matt Kemp is always on the teams that are supposed to be good that aren't that good, like the Padres.
I need to figure out what he's doing now, because whatever it is, as soon as he stops doing it, it's going to become a dynasty.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe he's like doing pest control or something. All right. Well, this has been a very good conversation. It has also been one of our longest episodes in a while. So I think we should probably end it here. We do have, for the next time we're able to meet, which is probably not going to be next week, because I will be on my way to Fairbanks, Alaska. But we have some Gold Gloves to talk about. We have some off-season things to talk about. So we will be back hopefully very soon. And until then, have a good one. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.